Welcome to RSAC Conference 2025. We're here recording from the Cyber Risk TV studio at the Marriott Marquis in San Francisco. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria, and joining me for this interview is Debbie Gordon, founder and CEO at Cloud Range. How are you, Debbie?
Great. How are you?
Very good. Enjoying these interviews, learning a lot from different people today. Some companies I'm not fully aware of, maybe I've heard of them. I don't know too much about them. And one of them is yours. I'm really looking forward to learning more about it.
Great. Well, thank you for having me.
And congratulations to Cloud Range and you for winning the best IT security related training program in the 2025 SC Awards.
Thank you.
Very nice. And so let's start with my career in cyber goes back quite a ways. Haven't always gotten to training when I wanted to, but tell me a little bit about with Cloud Range in the title there. You're already hinting at what it provides, right?
Yeah. So Cloud Range is a cyber range platform, and like you said, having the term range in the name is a training environment. Unlike traditional cybersecurity training, which there's a lot of out there and it's really good, this is the experiential piece that is what I call the last mile of training. Mm-hmm. So people can have certifications, they can do training labs, but this gets people into a live fire simulation environment to be able to be immersed in actual cyber attacks in a safe environment. Mm-hmm. So security analysts and incident responders, forensics analysts, they can know exactly what to look for and how to respond to it before the real thing happens.
Yeah, and it's I spend a lot of my time researching how companies fail, how mm-hmm. breaches happen, and the vast majority of it, very rarely do we see something where, oh, if only they had bought more stuff from the show floor, it wouldn't have happened. They typically have everything they need.
Yes.
They've got the people, but processes aren't great. And sometimes the people aren't very well trained on things, so they get into that live fire situation and maybe they don't know how to discover an attack or how to find out more information about it. And so they're reading documentation and query language mm-hmm. during an incident.
Right.
With the sweat coming down, and it's not the ideal time to be doing that. Right.
And if you hit the nail on the head. If you think about every major breach that you've heard about on the news ever, mm-hmm. those had two things in common. One is that they had hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, of technology to try to prevent them. But the second thing that every one of them has in common is that the people in the Security Operations Center did not know what they were looking for or looking at because they had never seen it before.
Yeah.
And so, you talk about not being trained enough. It's not their fault because they simply haven't seen it and they don't have the experience yet. So we talk about, in the industry, you hear about the skills shortage in cyber. We see it as an experience shortage. Yeah. And people are only as good as their experience. And so in order to gain that experience in a safe way, not just in time when something's actually happening, you have to be proactive. So organizations are luckily investing a lot more in being proactive and making sure that the investment they've made in people mm-hmm. is maximized. No different than the investment that they make in tools is maximized. They need to make sure that the people stay ahead of the game and are ready for when something happens.
Yeah, when I trained incident responders, one of the things I emphasized a lot is, if the first time you're looking at events and things like this is during an incident, there's going to be so many distractions, so many false leads. There's so many things that'll look shady, that will look like maybe thgoing related to an incident, mm-hmm. but it's very normal for your environment, right? So if you have no baseline of knowledge for this stuff, then you're going to waste a lot of time.
Right. And the more exposure they have to different threat vectors, the more muscle memory and situational awareness they have, and they know what to look for. They just have better critical thinking about it, and they're also able to communicate better with the team because, as you know, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
And it's not just about what skills a single person has, but how do they actually deploy those skills and knowledge when there's a live event happening they have to know what to do, and they have to know how to do it, and they have to know with whom to do it. And you can't figure that out real time.
Yeah. So I'm going to latch on to something that you said there, team sport. So I often describe cybersecurity, especially security operations, as very much like a sport. Like if you've never practiced this thing, then how could you possibly expect to do well?
Right.
When stuff actually goes down. And then also, traditionally training, at least in most organizations I've seen, is a very personal thing. Where the company thinks of it as like personal development. Okay, we're going to send you to training, and then next year we're going to send you to training. But as you just stated, being a team sport, having to work with other people in security operations and during incidents, there's a lot of benefit to taking this kind of training together, right?
Yes. And that's something, I think about this every day, because most companies have a certain amount of money that they allocate for you to go get some training this year, right? And you get it approved, you get training, and then in reality, you could go get that training, use your $5,000 for a certification, and then go put it on your resume and go get a job somewhere else. And that training helps you. And never does that training get translated into how it actually benefited your employer and the company. Where what we do is different, because all of the simulations that our customers' teams are doing on the cyber range, on cloud range, we are measuring the efficacy of that team in terms of how quickly they're able to detect and respond to attacks. And so it's the cumulative result of how a team performs. Obviously, that's made up of the individuals on the team, but it's how the team performs. And that gets translated into a reduction of risk in the company, because the quicker a team can detect something compared to some benchmarks, the quicker they can respond to it. They know that they're closing that gap and that they're actually reducing risk. So this gets translated up to a company, to a board of directors even, to show how an organization is reducing risk. Unlike traditional training, which is still necessary,
right?
But we are the next level above that, and it's absolutely imperative that organizations are doing this, because otherwise it's like, going to flight school and never actually flying in a simulator.
Right.
Like you've missed that.
Yeah. Huge opportunity there. And, also training, having some sort of ROI there, something tangible that a company can see, some benefit they can see. I've often noticed, at least from my experience, training is one of the first budgets to get to disappear into the ether. And like we had to move that money into another we needed it for something else, and no training ever happens. And it makes sense, that has kind of been traditionally seen as like a something that benefits the that single employee, and something. Even to the point to, well, if I let them go to training, what if they just go somewhere else, which is just an insane way of looking at it, because what are we not going to train any of our workforce?
Right.
How's our workforce get training then?
Yeah. And so this becomes an investment. So whereas a lot of times training is seen, most companies would call it
and then we complain about a skills gap.
Right. Yeah. So training, again, for individuals is absolutely necessary. What Cloud Range is actually not paid. Most customers, they're not using training budgets or learning and development funds. This is coming from the security budget, because it's something that CISOs are incorporating into their whole security program as a proactive and preemptive measure to ensure that their teams are ready, because it's so hard to find people. They're making investments now to make sure that they have the experience that they need and continue to, and they're never finished. So it's not like they go through a program with us and they're finished. There's always more, because we're always putting out new simulations of new types of attacks. So it's a continuous improvement model that organizations are investing in, and they have to.
Yeah. And so I'm interested, how often do you have to, maybe like more of the technical details of like how do people take this training? Is it similar enough to the tools that they use at work? How do you, maybe my environment is all Linux, maybe my environment's all Windows. How flexible is this training?
Yeah, so
to suit them?
Our platform is a virtualized representation of an enterprise network, and we have both IT and OT.
Okay.
So we have a lot of critical infrastructure clients as well. And then we have live traffic, and so this is a real network. It's just not theirs, and it's safe and contained. And then we script out and design and script out cyber attacks, and we're constantly releasing new ones. So we use different sources of threat intelligence to inform what that plan is and what types of attacks that we're designing and rolling out to our customers that they can be prepared to defend against.
And it seems to me that this is just a necessary step on the path to security maturity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Something that we're talking about a lot is resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Is if attacks are going to happen regardless, we have to make sure we limit the damage they do, or we cut down the time to contain attacks and hopefully limit some damage, or maybe even prevent it altogether. And traditionally, what we've seen is detection just doesn't happen.
Right.
Like the number one way that someone detects an attack is they receive a ransom note, right? That's the thing that's lowering the what does Mandiant call it, the dwell time, right?
Right.
We've seen that dwell time drop.
Yeah.
Not because defenders have necessarily gotten better.
How quickly do you get the notice?
Things. Yeah, it's how quickly the attackers finish with their work, sabotaging the environment, and then deliver the note.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being proactive, we're able to measure it, and that's the big difference between traditional training and what Cloud Range is providing organizations, because we can measure their readiness. It's one thing to be anecdotal and say, okay, yes, we're more prepared because we've practiced on XYZ, but we're actually able to show how we're reducing dwell time based on benchmarks and comparing them to other companies, what should be the dwell time and the detection and response times. And that's really powerful information, because there's so many metrics that security leaders are trying to measure their security by. And this is something that is another element that a lot of organizations haven't looked at yet. And so if we're able to show what the risk is that's associated with how well people are performing, we're able to then prescribe, here's what you need to do in order to close that gap.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I almost don't even think about it as training. Like it seems more like, this is because your security operations has this very necessary human component. This is just a functional piece of that security operations program.
It absolutely is.
It's not something you buy. It's not something that you install somewhere. But that, again, when I research breaches and how companies fail, a lot of it is just process. These processes haven't been tested. Mm-hmm. There's gaps. There's stuff missing. Maybe they did a tabletop, but a tabletop itself is not quite enough.
Right.
That's not going to give that muscle memory, as you put it, of learning the query language, learning, what data is in what fields, how to search for it, just all those functional things that allow you to maybe feel less overwhelmed, because there's a lot of emotions during an incident. And the more of that muscle memory you have, like you've practiced for this, you've trained for this, the more prepared you
and
feel,
confident.
And the less stress the team is going to have, and hopefully over longer terms, the less burnout you're going to have in your team. Yeah,
it's absolutely true. The customers, when our customers go through simulations, they're doing this ongoing years. They don't stop. It's not just a one-time thing. Yeah. We actually survey them, and I'm not sure the exact percentage, but it's somewhere in the high 90s that this job satisfaction goes up.
Yeah.
Because
I believe it.
They see their companies investing in them. They see that they're actually helping their companies reduce risk, and they feel more confident in what they're doing because they've been able to practice it. There's a lot of fear involved in incident response because people don't want to mess up. And so they're going to, if they're not sure if they're doing the right thing, they might not take action.
Yeah. And it's a lot of people are inside cybersecurity because they're very mission oriented. They want to help. They feel this. That's where their job satisfaction comes from. And if we set them up for failure, then not only don't they get that satisfaction, that feeling that they were seeking being in this career, But it does nothing for the organization either.
Right.
So it's really kind of a win-win, I think.
It absolutely is. They see the benefit, and there is a huge benefit. It's measurable. Again, unlike traditional training where you're not really measuring the benefit of it, you're checking a box. But this is a very measurable benefit.
Yeah, and that's as we move forward in security, I think we're going to be pushed more to measure the efficacy of our products. We've seen more pressure on security programs to say, okay, like we can keep giving you lots of money for cybersecurity, but you got to start showing us what we're getting for our money. Yeah, we need to see some results.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Debbie, for joining me today.
Thank you.
Love the conversation. Learned a lot about your company.
I appreciate it.
And yeah, very important work.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations again to Cloud Range for winning Best IT Security Related Training Program in the 2025 SC Awards. I see why you won.
Thank you.